now. Zoom platform and in person on Wednesday, August 4th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. for the city of Bisbee, located at 915 South Silverville Road, Bisbee, Arizona 85603. Do a quick roll call. Peter Dapper. Present. Stephen Green is excused. Yvette Thompson.
Yvette, are you still there? Okay, she's here. She just her.
Okay.
I'm not sure what's going on with her audio.
Scott Burkett. Present. Linda is excused this evening. Ben Watley. Here. Don Young. Here. Frank Davis is with us.
He just dropped off, but he was here.
Okay. Nina and Mr. Ward. The staff would like to inform all applicants that the applications on the DRD agenda will require a building permit or a sign permit. Number two, that the design review board approval does not necessarily reflect the views and policies of the State Historic Preservation Office, which controls decisions impacting the tax status of designated contributing historic properties. Please review those policies. If necessary, contact them directly before making any exterior changes to your property. The intent of the design review process applied within the Bisbee Historic District is to improve and encourage uses leading to the conservation and/or rehabilitation of buildings, structures, sites, objects, and spaces within the historic district, while allowing for a vibrant, creative, and livable community. To encourage harmonious growth and orderly development, assure that future setting, design, and construction will correspond to enhance the visual characteristics of the district, and to prevent construction, alteration, or remodeling from occurring in a manner that would be detrimental to the historical visual characteristics of the district. We'll move on to our call to public. I understand we have one speaking.
Yes, you can come on up.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm Andrea Dominguez, but just a couple of months ago bought the property at 122 Brewery Avenue. There was a pre-existing garage there that was burnt down. If I can approach you with the picture. Sorry, we didn't know your board meeting was here. So there's 3 existing walls there. So what we want to do is just put the garage there. It used to be where it burnt down. And then this is kind of what we want to do. I want to do just redo the garage walls and then put the deck on top. I just took a picture of what.
Okay.
So because there's so it's not nothing, you know, too extreme. We have water later. We plan to put electric in, and then that's what we want to start off with. We still have to have a consultant to come in for on the bottom or on the top. But then we want to put there's this wall there. We wanted to put like 4 to go up to the second layer. A layer on the bottom, layer on the top. Do the steps.
All right.
So we want to do 4 foot. We kind of not do so tall, but we can have the layers.
All right.
That's what we want to start off with. We're not sure if we're allowed to put a gazebo or we have to come for you.
What you'll need to do is submit an application to the city of Bisbee itself. You can find that application online. What you'll want to do on that application is you want to list all the work that needs to be completed. The city will then take the application and they'll come before the board before at one of our next meetings.
That will come before or they will?
We will.
We will. With the permit or the exact.
Not with the permit, you'll come with your application and you'll present your application to the board. And then we will, beforehand, we'll review it to make sure that it meets the design review board guidelines.
Pretty much know the guidelines, we have a lot, we put up, version one like 1900. We're going with the stone walls because we know that we have the stone on there, and then what's on there is stone, on there is rock.
Okay. So,
We just want to kind of make sure that we're gonna, you know what I mean, what
yeah,
we're
we
designing.
totally understand. So what we need to do is we actually need to make sure that that's on an application for us to discuss it and review it.
Okay.
Once that is turned in and once that's on our agenda, we can discuss it. Right now, we can't discuss it.
Okay.
Okay?
This is our first, like,
It's
so like,
okay, no.
we know we want to do.
Most definitely. I didn't answer questions.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
This is a set of the existing guidelines. There's a set of the existing guidelines that look like that on the line.
Oh, okay.
And so you can get an idea, but since this is primarily new construction,
Well, there was, the garage was pre-existing. It burnt down. Burnt down.
there's a little bit of latitude, because it's an effect. But,
Oh,
but anyway.
okay. That's what we needed to make sure, because it was pre-existing, so now we know it's a new construction.
It
Yes.
sounds like it's new
Okay.
construction.
All right,
So,
okay.
get with Nina tomorrow and she can direct you on how to get that application.
Okay,
submitted.
thank
Okay?
you.
You're very
Thank you,
welcome.
appreciate your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Have a good
My
evening.
number.
Well, moving on to old business, then item one. This item was tabled at the May 5th and the June 2nd and July 7th ERB meetings. This is application 2138, Busy Residential Historic District contributing property number 697, located at 819 827 Canyon, applicant Michelle Marsh. The original application was seeking approval to replace all the existing windows on the structure.
If you give me your email address.
Tonight that we tabled it, we determined that those windows did not meet our guidelines. And therefore, we asked the applicant to bring back a new type of window. I understand that that's been done.
I'm sorry, what?
Is Ms. Marsh?
Yes, Ms. Marsh is here.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, wonderful. So yes, thank you for giving us some time here with the application. We were back out in July. And we have 5 exact matches to the windows that are in. So what we're looking to do now is replace the worst 5 with what we have. I did send a picture of one of them in, so they'll be exact matches to what's existing, and then we're going to look to hinge the rest. We will have to replace the rotted wood at the bottom below the windows, but other than that, we're gonna give that a go. So just looking for approval to be able to replace the first 5 with exact matches to what's there, and then hinge those in like an awning style fashion from the inside.
Ms. Marsh, do you have anything else to add to that, or is that pretty much?
No, that's pretty much it. It'll be pretty non-eventful from a visual perspective, as long as everything goes right. If we get into trouble with it, then we'd have to come back with a different approach, but we think we can make that work.
All right, so if I understand correctly, because I didn't hear all the way, you want to mount them, you want to hinge them at the top and do an awning style, is that what you said?
Yeah, from the inside, right now, the way that they're mounted, they don't open. They're just permanently fixed into the structure. So we would be looking to put some hinges on the inside so that they can open outward for fresh air flow.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have any public comments regarding this application? All right, it's open to the board for discussion.
I just have a quick question. This is the new window that she's proposing, the 9 light, is that correct?
Yes,
Correct. Okay.
those are, she's trying to refurbish an old one. that she found, but she only
Yeah.
found 5, right?
Yeah, there's only 5. They're
Of
old,
those.
just like what's in there, but they're in better condition than what has been in than the ones currently in place. So we're gonna try to replace the 5 of the worst with the 5 that we have, the new old ones, and then try to rehab the rest.
Ms. Marsh, I have a question for you. Are windows that are already fixed, are you gonna be trying to hinge those as well, or just the original 5, or just the new 5?
I'm sorry, it's so difficult for me to hear you through the mask with the audio and the computer. Can you speak
It's
again?
okay. On the 5 windows that you're proposing, we already know that they're gonna be the proposals for a hinged awning style. The ones that are currently existing on the structure, are you gonna be taking those out and putting them on hinges as well as you rehab them?
Yeah, we're gonna have to remove all of them just because the wood at the bottom needs to be replaced, but then we're gonna replace all of them back. The 5 new ones, I'm not sure if we're gonna hinge all of them, to be quite honest with you. We wanna hinge at least several of them so that we can have open airflow. A couple of them may be fixed. There's, I believe, 10 in the front. So there's a lot of them. So.
Okay.
Seems like a great idea. I like this. No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Is that,
Miss Yvette, do you have any questions?
I do not. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
Okay, great. No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
all right, at this time, if someone would like to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve application 2138 for the new proposed restored 9-light wooden windows.
All second. All in favor?
I
Yvette, are you in favor?
Aye,
Okay, thank you.
I'm in favor.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Marsh.
This is amazing.
All right, moving on to new business agenda item 2, application 2161 Bisbee Residential Historic District, contributing property number 492 located at 13 Spring Canyon, applicant Scott Brown, representative McKinsey, Bay Francisco. This application is seeking approval to install residential solar. The 300-foot notification went out on July 14th, 2021. At the time that the agenda was issued, there were no comments at that time. This application does require a public hearing, so I'm going to turn it over to the applicant for presentation at this time.
Hello, I'm Scott Brown, and I had engineers come and draw all that up, and I'm really not exactly sure what all of it means, but I'll do my best. It's a solar panel set up on the roof. I really don't know what else to say. You won't be able to see it from the street itself, but from the highway. No, actually, from the highway, you wouldn't be able to see it either. There's a very large tree in the way.
Do you know if this house is contributing storage structure? You get a tax deduction?
I do now, as of the last few days. Do I have one presently? No, I do not.
Are we good on, yeah, any more for the presentation? No, all right. So at this time, I'm going to declare the public hearing open and receive public comment. I'll take those who are opposed first. There is a 3-minute time limit. Do we have anybody here that is opposed to this agenda item? All right. For those who are in favor,
Good afternoon. My name is James Richmond. I own the property immediately adjacent to the subject property. My property is located at 11 Spring Canyon. My wife and I purchased this property in 2008 and moved to Bisbee shortly thereafter. I'm going to mention by way of background that by profession, I'm a trained engineer. I work for the federal government, Fort Huachuca. But I have also, prior to moving to Bisbee, I was a representative of the Lewis, Delaware Historic Preservation Commission and served as its chairman for 6 years, drafting its guidelines. I'm familiar with the Department of Interior standards for historic preservation, and I've had to deal with many issues pertaining to it. The reason that I mention these two backgrounds is I know that this application is going to represent possibly a precedent which may be set, if it's not set already, for the installation of renewable energy devices within the city historical limits. Let me first describe the property from my perspective as a somewhat trained observer, and then I would like to make 5 points in relationship to my support for this application. And I apologize in advance if I go over in answering your questions. Number one, this is a 20th century vernacular one-story cottage whose size and massing and orientation is not representative of the period in which it was originally constructed. I believe, as my house was, that this was originally constructed as a miner's cabin. However, there have been significant additions to this property since original construction. So it is representative of the style and the place. Number two, it does not represent the work of a recognized craftsman.
You have 30 seconds left.
You'll have to, excuse me. And it's not the home or birthplace of a particular personage. I'm running out of time, so I'll draw it to a close. I do support this application, and if you wish to inquire as to why specifically I think this should be supported or supported as a procedure more generally, I'll respond if you allow questions. Thank you.
Comments in favor? At this time, I declare the public hearing closed. At this point, there's no longer any public comments beyond this point. And now I'll open it up to the board for discussion.
I do.
Yeah, I know this house is live on the same street. I think it has its merit as far as the contribution to energy efficiency in the city. It is not unprecedented, Mr. Richmond. We have accrued several of these. In fact, the chair has a wonderful array on his house. So, and I do think this one benefits also from the fact that the main exposure to the street does not have a panel on it, which is probably an engineering decision rather than architectural, but nonetheless does promote the cause of this particular way. So I'm fully in favor.
Then,
I have a question. The tilted the solar panels, does it go with the roof?
Yes, sir.
On outside?
Yes, sir. It'll almost be flat.
Right.
I wish they were going to be Tesla panels, but they haven't produced enough of them, so we can't sign them.
Yeah, there's huge problems with that right now.
I have no question. Thank you.
Yvette?
Miss Yvette, do you have?
I have no questions. I would be in support of this application.
I just wanted to add that I'm definitely in support of it. one of the things that I did learn in this process and over the course of a few applications that we have approved, there are some of the solar jobs that turn out that look really good. And those, in my opinion, are the ones that get mounted as close to the roof as possible, and match the slope of the roof. I think you can blend them in and disguise them quite well, and it's not as obtrusive to the historic nature of the building as many would think. Make sure this is just a word of warning. Make sure your fire setbacks are correct. You'll go over that with the building inspector. It's just things that I learned throughout the process. And if have your person look at it, just trying to give you a few tips that'll help you along the way.
I just had Firewise go through higher.
Yeah, so.
We're talking about the clearance on the roof.
On the roof,
Oh,
yeah.
It's
We just the panels so that.
I just have your engineer make sure that it's, it meets code, and it'll be a much easier process for you, while you go through it. At this time, if someone would like to make a motion.
I would have to make a motion to approve application number 2161 as presented.
We have a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passed. Congratulations, good luck.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
My wife will be there.
All right, moving on to agenda item 3. Application 2162 residential historic district in Tribune property number 311 located at 10 Copper Queen Plaza, applicants Francisco and Yolando Barco. Representative, I guess, is Travis Bishop.
Yes, he's on Zoom.
He's on Zoom. All right, the application is seeking approval for a weekend use only 10x10 logo tent for the tours. The tent will be placed Saturday and Sunday mornings and removed Saturday and Sunday evenings.
Scott.
The tent will be placed inside the property line in front or on the side of the property, publishing Bisbee Observer Building with permission. Pursuant to Bisbee zoning code article 7.5, the property owner is requested to obtain approval from the DRB prior to obtaining a sign permit for installation of commercial signage. This time I turn it over to the applicant for the presentation.
Yes, hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, hi. I've included documents that show the location on the side and the front of the building with scale from the Cochise County Assessor's maps. And then I've designed a tent that adheres to the Bisbee Historic District guidelines. For example, the graphics on the tent have roof gable boards that are part of the graphics. They have fascia boards that are part of the graphics. They have corner boards that are part of the graphics. And they also have designer hinges that are part of the graphics, along with the logo for the company and a way to contact it. The tent is made out of canvas and it's completely portable. It'll be put up in the morning if I use it, and it'll be taken down that night. And I'm seeking approval for that.
All right. Thank you, sir. Do we have any public comments on this agenda item? It's open to the board for discussion.
I have a quick question. All the graphics that we're seeing on the pop-up, they're going to be silk screened onto the canvas, is that correct?
They're going to be printed. I don't know their method at the company. It's a company that I'm waiting for your approval. I can order it, but it's a printed graphic. I guess it's silk screen or whatever process that they use.
Okay. Thank you.
And it will be all 4 sides of the tent as well, not just one side.
Same graphic, all 4 sides?
Same identical graphic, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Okay. Is that?
Hi
Yep.
there. Hi. Getting a little feedback here, but Travis, this is a great submission.
Thank you.
I think that as it's a temporary structure, I'm thinking that we're just approving the signage and it's going up and it's going down. So I see no reason why you wouldn't be able to do this. I think it
Well,
looks
thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You good, you have?
Yvette, are you good?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, any other questions or comments for the applicant? All right, this time, take the motion.
I'll make a motion to approve application number 21-62 as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much, everybody.
I'm sorry, I got distracted for a second. Who seconded that? Thank you. Sorry about that.
All right, moving on to agenda item 4, application 21-63, Bisbee Residential Historic District, contributing property number 311 located at 85 Moon Canyon. Applicants James and Vicky James. This application is seeking approval to redo the roof, replace damaged wood paneling on the home, garage repair, remove replacement, and was uncertain about the mural cement wall at street. So at this time, we turn it over to the applicant for presentation.
I'm Jim King. I live at 25 Moon Canyon. And I purchased the house a couple months ago, and it needs a lot of work. Just drive by it. First off, from the street, looking at the cement foundation where they're raised in different parts of Bisbee and whatnot. It's the blue paint that was put on it at one time is all peeled off. There's not much left. And so I don't have the wherewithal to completely fix it, but I think I would like to have it cosmetically fixed so it doesn't look terrible to me. So that would involve cleaning off the rest of the blue, putting glue into it and re-cementing it, and possibly painting it the color blue that it was whenever it was painted at one time. I would like some type of mural of a flower or something that would go with Bisbee. I've been here in Bisbee since the 70s. 29 Kennedy Road was where my mom was born. That big rose is next to the house where my mom was born at. So I love Bisbee a lot. And I care about the historic parts of it. And I really like the house I have right now. And as far as the garage, the paint is all peeled off. The garage door is a mess. Someone glued it. It was a functioning garage door. Someone glued it shut. The wood is just terrible. I looked at Stan Greer to get a garage door for it with I've lit a construction company that's going to do the work for me. And I'd like to have the building, the blue sanded off because it looks horrible because it's all patchy. The brickwork fixed, there's one brick that's been knocked out. And the new garage door placed in it. As far as the house, the roof is terrible. Two vents leak water when it rains. It's an old roof, not tile. What do you call it? Shingle. It's old shingle roof. That's and so what I would like is more of a roof that's a tin type roof, galvanized steel roof, replacing it. That roof's not going to last much longer. And I want a roof that'll last a while, because I don't plan on going anywhere in the near future. Around the house, the paneling is horrible. It has termites in it. It had to be termite sprayed or whatever they needed to do before I bought the house. Whoever put the paneling up there never sealed the panels. So my preference would be to use all the panels, but they're chop suey. So I'd like to have them repaneled, and I have the name of the type of paneling, and it's a paneling that's been used here in Bisbee in other historic homes. That's the big items. So it's the garage, it's the roof, it's the paneling, And the cement, the cement that needs to be repaired or cosmetic work done with it. And I'm open to any questions, comments, concerns, or other. Yes, sir.
Yeah, hold on 2 seconds. Are there any public comments for this application? No? All right, it's open to the board for discussion.
I just had a question about the siding, the teardrop siding. You're gonna replace it with the same teardrop?
Well, I have the name of the product
Yeah.
that Lipic recommended. I don't know exactly the composition of it, but I've looked at it and it looks, yeah, hardy backer cement siding board.
It's this picture.
That was the recommendation of the contractor.
That would be for just the rotten areas or the entire?
It's all rotten. They did no sealing. Whoever put the siding up last time didn't seal anywhere. It's full, it's rotten, and my preference would, yeah, I'd like to use all the old stuff. But when the contractor looked at it, he really didn't want to do the work, but then he looked at it, he said, well, this is junk here, Jim. There's no point in trying to save this. You can look at it, it's horrible. I don't know, did you take a look at it, sir?
No.
Okay.
Well, I was out there today and I didn't have anything to look at because it's all gone.
Yeah.
The only question I had was, there was one section of the house when you're on the front of your home, you're standing there, there was looked like two boards remaining that were down lower, but they definitely weren't original to the house.
No.
Is that material that you're gonna be using?
I'm not sure. That material there, if I can comment, that material there, I believe that the lady who owned the house before me, she said she had some horrible mouse rat problem, that she had to pay $3,000 to have someone come out. And what I think is what they did is they tried to board up all the way around the bottom. And I don't know what they stuck underneath the construction, but that's my belief. As far as that staying or not, I would have to talk to the contractor. It's already there. I'm not opposed to it staying. I don't know what the pros and cons of. I would hate for something to get underneath that house again.
I think this was on the agenda last month, right?
No, this is the first time I've been here.
Yeah, I have seen the house recently, last month. I think it's driving by.
I personally know the house because I knew the previous owner a little bit, did a little bit of work for it to make it accessible. And I am aware of deteriorating.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean,
so I'm sympathetic with this proposal. There's always an issue when you take off wood paneling and replace it with body board because it's not a material. It's an excellent material, it makes it waterproof.
yes, sir.
It lasts forever. You gotta paint it again. So I would be interested. I don't know what my colleagues would have to say. And I think what you can do is make it, particularly with a metal roof, that you improve it.
Well, for sure. I mean, you look at that roof on Adams Street, they have these big, huge ducts going onto the roof. You can't tell me that there's any beauty there, or that was in at a time when that house was originally built. So all that duct work is going to get rid of, and I'm going to have another type of air conditioning system, so it doesn't go anywhere on the roof. The mini splits.
Yeah, I would be interested in supporting it.
I would say with the hardy backer, you could tell the contractor, John, to match the spacing.
Yeah,
of the
I
old,
agree,
so
I agree.
It's, if they're 8-inch, keep that same spacing so that, you look at the aesthetic of the house, it doesn't really change.
I agree. Yes, sir.
I like the garage door. Is this the garage door style that you're gonna go with?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh. And, it's different in that it's gonna have glass because there's no real light into that garage. And so that glass, a little bit of glass at the top of the garage will allow some light into the garage. I'm a fall risk, and so I don't want to be falling.
Right. A question on the mural.
It's on his, no, we just mentioned it so you would know, but it's on his private property.
So you can't say
There's
anything.
nothing,
I
right.
just wanted to, you didn't have any- do you have anything to add?
Hi, Chairman Sean.
This one is a little difficult because much like yourself, I went out there today and I couldn't see anything because the house is completely covered or draped. So it's really hard to know what's under there. Although when I look at the application and everything submitted, it seems very reasonable. The metal roofing seems reasonable. It looks like he's going to stay with siding. From the pictures in the application, mine are a little bit faded. The parts of the house I can see look pretty decent. But then I can also see the ones with the water damage. So I think as long as this is an accurate materials list, it looks like, at first glance and from what I know and what I could and couldn't see, it looks like it's a very reasonable project and within the guidelines, as far as I can tell.
I agree. Does anybody else have any additional questions, comments, concerns? No? You more than happy to take a motion? Sure. You want to go ahead?
I'd like to make a motion that number 2163 be approved in its entirety with the application that was submitted.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
I'm sure it's gonna look great.
Oh, yeah, I think it will.
Yes.
It's a nice house.
It's a very nice house.
Nice house.
Quite a
But
project.
the, they figure something.
Yeah,
She did her best.
she did her best. She did what she could do.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. All right, moving on to agenda item number 5. This is application number 2164, 50 Residential Historic District. Property located at 239A Brewery, applicant James. This application is for a proposed change to the design plan that was approved back on August 15, 2019. The motion, the board has passed it unanimously. It is, I believe everybody received a copy of it. I'm going to turn it over to the applicant to go ahead and give his presentation because it's a pretty lengthy list of changes from the original approval.
Mr. Touch, are you there?
I am here.
Okay. They want you to speak on your application?
Sure. Let me, yeah. This design is it's a lean-to, as you can see. I wanted to amend some changes to make this house look more in style and fit in more with the miners' cabins. So that's the reason why these. I don't know if you can see correctly what I've drawn down. For example, the upper windows have been drawn down about 6 inches. The side windows are drawn down to be true rectangles. So I wanted to eliminate most of these angular windows to give it more of a cabin appeal. And also the upper windows will be all grid style instead of like just open, instead of the picture window effect. Also the front doors would be also 10 light each, once again to fit in with the windows that will be also grid style as well. The deck, the railing, I drew in, if you can see it, I wanted to, instead of using metal slats, vertical, I wanted to use like, for example, 6-inch wooden slats, and perhaps route out the edges, if you can see this, once again, you know, to give it a more craftsman-like appeal. The roof would be a galvanized natural finish, and the garage door will be a craftsman style garage door, and I believe I have a clipping there, and to demonstrate what that would look like. So all in all, what I'm trying to accomplish here is a more simple design. Would be a lean-to roof, of course, and do something on a lower lot, which would be more feasible at this point than going ahead with my prior design on the upper lot. You see, the front of the house would have a slight angular. It'd be a slight angle towards Mimosa Market, if you can visualize where that is. So the right side of the house would be almost adjacent to the wall that the people park at on that lower house, Bill Higgins's wall, as I would call it. Other than that, I think that might be it. If somebody can add something, that'd be helpful.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Do you have any public comments on this agenda item? Taking to the board for discussion.
I probably, I'll recuse myself on this one, just because I was the architect, the original design, but not the new design. So I'll be here to answer any questions if Dan would like me to.
Yeah, I'd like to ask, I don't understand the application. I understand sort of the spirit of it, but we have here a photograph of an entirely different structure, which I guess is from a catalog, but I can't somehow marry it to the previous application, which was of an entirely different roof style and entirely different size and so on. I'm thinking that you submitted the image at the beginning of your application to give us a sense of the style of windows and doors. I don't know. I am completely confused by this application. It's probably my fault, but I can't honestly support it because I can't understand it. If someone can clarify it for me, I would be very grateful.
What do you not understand?
So
Maybe Ben could help.
It's on a different part of the site, so it's further down the hill at the same level as Mimosa Market. So that's, I believe, why it needs to be a different design. It's a different shaped site.
So the one that was approved in August is completely thrown out. It has no relevance.
Well, it's the same site and same.
Yeah, it has no relevance. And you call space. It has no relevance.
I mean, that's up to you to decide.
Well, thank you. But, So what we were looking at before was a two-bedroom, and now we've got a one-bedroom, which is going to look like the image that I've got in front of me.
We have a flag on the play.
Is that right?
We have a flag on the play.
Sorry, I feel very stupid, but I don't understand.
No, she didn't do anything. I think we need a whole new application and a whole new neighborhood notification and all that, because this house isn't on the same place, not the same house. It's not a variation of that.
Excuse me, can I say something here? Well, can I interject something?
Yes.
Okay, when I initially bought the first lot where this design is, where this current design I just submitted, that's on the lower lot. I purchased the upper lot where Ben's design was. So I had these two lots adjoined. So if you're looking at Ben's design, which is a wonderful design, that's on the other upper lot. This goes down completely, what, 20 feet, Ben? 22 feet? So the reason why I wanted to, modify, and I'm not throwing away Ben's plan. I might use it at a different date. But this new plan is on a lower lot. The reason why I wanted to do an about face is, number one, I don't have to like hoist any heavy equipment on the upper lot. Number two, I don't have to run gas lines on the upper lot, water lines. So the economy pretty much told me I need to do something on the lower lot. So that's the reason why I completely modified the change. So it's just, from an economic standpoint, it just made total sense. So this is a, let me give you another perspective. If I were to, you could have this house on this lower lot, and in a perfect world, I could still build Ben's design on the upper lot. So they're completely they're the same lot, they're adjoined, they have the same number, but it's a completely, if you've been out to see the location, you would have a better idea. So if you have any questions about the windows, the doors, well then shoot.
And this is obviously this is a lot size question. Can you have two residences on one lot?
No, they'd have to be separated.
They have to be separated. And they have to be a minimum of 4,000 square feet apiece.
They do.
There's not going to be two residences on this one lot. So you have to look at this new, you have to look at the design that you're looking at now. Okay, and apart from Ben's design.
So
there's only going to be one house.
Would be to send it back for a 300-foot notice as the plan is completely different, and that new plans be drew up, excuse me.
Can you do it under the same application?
Yes, you can do it under
this.
this.
We just need to do a 300-foot notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, when he needs a new site.
Site map, thank
The
you.
approval that you guys gave before is expired.
Yeah, because it was 2019, but I wanted to show what was for that same parcel, what was on there.
Okay.
I mean,
so
though this has no relevance, I mean, I like the design. It's not that I dislike the design, but I could put it before that. We have to start over.
we do have to start over.
Yeah.
Even if you were to say that plan for the upper, or that was on the upper lot was moved down to the lower lot, we would have to start over. Correct?
That's what the regulation is.
Yeah. All right, so then.
Well, if that's the regulation, why was this not pointed out to me when I submitted the application? If this is a well-known regulation. Somebody should have had the wherewithal, to just give me a note. a heads up.
Yeah.
Because the reason why I submitted this application the way I did is because, you know, if you said, yeah, we can do this, well, then I could go ahead and bring back, you know, all the specs, building, you know, the construction package and a whole bottle of wax. I just didn't want to go ahead and spend an additional X amount of dollars before I could get at least, yeah, we can do this if you amend these changes and so forth.
All right, so why don't we do this? We'll table this application for 30 days. We're gonna send it back out for 300-foot notification. We'll bring it back next month and start after, because legally we have to do the 300-foot notification.
Yes.
That way the application is not denied. And we can disregard the old DRB application altogether.
Right. And we do need a site plan.
Yes, that's what I meant is site
Yeah.
plan.
I mean, that's the application, if nothing else, lacks a site plan.
Mhm.
And I think that's terribly important for the 300 foot.
Mhm. Yes.
People, otherwise,
So the site plan should show, you know, what, you already have a site plan, I know you do, it's in here, but it doesn't show where the new house is, so just the Sharpie marker just put in to scale where this thing is in the orientation and which way the garage door is facing. And then in pencil or pen, what the setbacks are, which part you deem the front. It could be on the sidewalk side, it could be on the road side. Which part is the front, which part's the side, which part's the back. And because the setbacks are different, and depending on the side or front or back. And just situate it in there, and that's your site plan, that's it. And which way is north?
North is.
Yeah,
north.
Yeah. I mean, the site plan that I did for the other houses up north is already up, so. Yeah, so just with ballpoint pen, just put the dimensions and the setbacks, and the setbacks are gonna be the same as the design they did for you before. It'll be the same setbacks. You'll just determine how you wanna fit the house in there. That's it.
All right, so
It's not a big change.
yeah, so I'll make a motion for DRB application number 2164. We'll table it for 30 days. We'll get the 300-foot notice out. We'll get a site plan, and we'll leave it at this application next month. And then get a second.
happy to second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All righty then.
Josh? All right, moving on to agenda item 6. This is application number 21-65, Bisbee Residential Historic District located at 70 OK Street. Applicant Kenneth Trust. This application is seeking approval to demolish a house located at 70 OK Street. The 300-foot notification went out on July 19th, 2021. It's on the agenda. There were no comments regarding this item. This application does require a public hearing, so at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Brooks for his presentation.
Thank you, but tonight I'm not mayor, I'm just another resident, so you gotta separate those two. I just want to make that clear. No special treatment, just. Sorry. We'll get this. All right, so you see what the application is. I have to be honest, I didn't think I was gonna get it cleaned out and see what I had before I came before you. Just happened to be that my contractor had guys left over from the Firewise program, and they were able to come in, and for 5 days, 4 people and 6 dump trucks or 6 dump trailers and 2 dump truck loads came out of there. So we got it cleaned out. That was my biggest fear, was the fire load that was in there and what I could get for the last 20 years. So, and I'll be honest, this is a tough one. I mean, I'm not trying to sweet talk this into any other way. I've looked at it 9 ways from from whatever. I don't like tearing something down, but every time I go to do and look at the price and how we're gonna obtain it, I've had 3 contractors up to look at it. It's the location. It's 55 stairs up, and the problem is there's no yard, so there's no place to do anything. In fact, the corner of the house is on the neighbor's property. And there's a little 4-foot area on one side. You've been up to look at it. So that's another problem. There's no staging, and there's no way to get any material except up those 55 stairs off the location, which is always tight also. So I've done anywhere from double to triple the cost what would normally be if you could pull up to it and just, deal with it, or have a yard where you could stack and store stuff, and that's not possible on this. There's just no room. So round and around I go. There's 2 possibilities. I don't have the desire to turn it into something for myself. I don't need anything. I've got a big house, plenty of land. I don't need anything else. So, but I just wanted to get it cleared out so that I relieve the problem I've been dealing with for 20 years on this house. So, long and short, the foundation has failed on 2 sides, the back and the north side, for sure. And the front actually is sunk. You can see the floor. Now we've torn into it. It's sitting on dirt. About 3/4 of it's on dirt. So the only way to do anything is to take all the flooring out, go in and dig it out, and pour new footings around at least 3 sides, and probably 4, probably needs all 4 sides, and then put a new floor in. But that digging it out, it's 690 square feet. I measured it off today exactly. That's the main house. The little add-on on the back is so short that it's not even, I really would like to demolish that. It's really beyond almost salvageable. But the main house, which is the part that was built originally, is 690 square feet. So I look at it, and $200 a square foot, 138,000. I might put everything into it. It would be maybe a break even by selling it. Like I said, no parking, no access, no yard. So that's probably what I'm looking at. So it's been emptied for 40 years. I moved out in 19, best we can get. We know it wasn't beyond 79. They either moved out in 78 or 79, and nobody's been in it since. There's no power lines through it, no water lines through it, gas lines through it. There is some sewer lines somewhere in there, but it's never been on the sewer list because it went abandoned before they started that. So that's a good thing. That for me. So it obviously has to have a new roof. The roof is blown off. I put some pieces on. I snuck over there with screws and screwed it down again to try to keep it from flapping in the breeze. But it's been leaking and leaking. I dug into it the last few days, and the back rafters along the back wall are rotted. So we'll have to reframe the cistern or fix once you pull all the metal off, and then figure out how, because it drains right into a wall, how to get all that drainage out of there. So it actually goes downstairs. It doesn't continue to soak under the house. So it's got a lot of problems, and there's no doubt about it. Anything's fixable probably with enough money and manpower, but I think it's a push either way. And I personally would rather have the breathing room than, and I don't want to take on this huge job. So I would sell it to the next contractor that's willing to do something with it. But so far, they've all said they wouldn't want to touch it because it's too much manpower. The 3 are possible. You never know. So I'm open for questions. I'm open. You can see the pictures you have are taken before it got clean. Well, 2 of you have been up. I don't know if you or anybody else has been up to look at it. That's kind of what I'm facing. I'll be honest. I got take it down. It's $15,000. I have $12,000 to put a roof on. That's not doing any foundation or any door work or any window work or anything else. So minimum that has to be saved, is gonna be saved, it has to have a roof on it first, and then try to close it in from there. But that's just a push right there. That's. Okay.
At this time, I'm going to declare the public hearing open. Are there any comments in favor? Opposed? All right, I declare the public hearing closed. Open the board for discussion.
I mean, obvious question, why did it take so long? I mean, you've only recently purchased it, so you have the authority in a sense to do something.
Yes. So a little over 10 years ago, I dealt with the last sister that owned it, and she agreed to sell it to me. At that time, I came before the DRB. They looked at it at that time and said it's marginal and actually agreed for me to take it down. I wanted to get that approval before I bought it. And at the last minute, she backed out. Got an on-off relationship until she finally cut everything off with me about 6 years ago. She wouldn't confirm. I know Joe has sent several letters to certified letters to, you got to do something with this place. It's been ignored the entire time. She finally passed. She lived in Biloxi, Mississippi. I was able to finally find out it was left to a son. Contacted the son. He brought a real estate agent up. We went through it. He said, I don't want anything to do with it. If you want it, Ken, I'll sell it to you. So I bought it because I thought I had it and knew what I could at least get it cleaned out and take care of it. And that's why. That's the.
Can I ask the board if you have any comments on the property?
I'm sorry. No, along the same question. When this was before the DRB before, when it was originally approved for demolition back in 2010, I don't know who was on it. But there was a building inspector by the name of Roger Nuskish. And I was wondering, I'm with him on this. You hold the same position as he does. I know we don't have any records because they were burned down in the fire. But
I sent a letter, an email recently to Ken. He's asking about, looking at it, section. I was in there after all the furnishings and trash, whatever you want to call it, have been taken out of the house. And I think this is a tipping point. I reluctantly agree that it needs to come down. It's right there at that point where you say, well, what are you going to do?
It's not a contributing structure.
You see, that's also confusing. It may be a contributing structure, but it probably isn't because it's really cloudy on that. Because they named the wrong, although the address is right, they named the wrong owner, and there had been a house that was there with that owner, and it was right adjacent to this house. And the addresses on our historic district of the original, they're not always the same as ours, and they're not always pristine. But I don't think it was that. I don't think it was that structure at all.
Yeah, so as far as tax status, it's probably a no, but as far as, is it historic? Ken provided photos of it being at least 1908 or 9. So
1960, first I see it show
I hate the loss of any word structure.
thank you.
yeah, I mean, I think
But there is a point.
this has been. I went over and looked at it on Sunday, and I've been back and forth a million times since Sunday on what to do, what not to do, what's right, what's wrong. And it's really tough because a couple applications been demolished, and we've been holding some people speak to the fire to rehab and restore. And that's tough. And then you look at this packet and you see that the DRB at one time already gave the approval to demo this, and it wasn't done, and it didn't happen within the timeline of the application. So now we're back here again having to make another decision. And it doesn't matter who the applicant is. I think in this situation, you have to look at the history. It came before this board once, they approved the demo, and now we're here again, and we've got to make a second choice and a second decision on it. And it's a little difficult. Do we uphold what the DRB did before? Treated that application at that time? That was my question. The usual was, would you stand behind the city?
You're
building
on the
inspector?
record, you can make your own decision. And you really should, Sean, you should be holding everybody to the same standard. I know you know that. And I'm trying to follow the same thing.
Yeah.
And my opinion is one thing, and like I said, it's just right on the tipping point to me. But that was where my decision fell. And you guys are under no obligation to hold anything I say.
Can I have a question? Based on the approval that was done previously on this property, it was approved for demolition. Is there new criteria that has changed that enables us to look at something differently here? Why? I mean, it seems.
Our current guidelines that we adopted that we're operating under are from 2008. Am I correct?
Those are from the 80s.
Those are from the 80s?
91.
Oh, 91.
Yeah, I think so, 91.
If you don't mind, allow me to chip in. I'll
Yeah.
be as absolutely honest I can, because I was a chairman of the DRB. We did go over and change some of the demolition criteria since the first application.
Okay.
But the first application was approved based on cost factors. Okay, it was, what's it going to cost to rehab it versus what it's going to have at the end. So that has not changed. Those are still in our same rules. The other things we changed were some of the other criteria, but those were the same. And that's what it was. Like I said, it's such a tipping point right now. It's like it's a break even if you spend months and months of work and try to make it work. You can probably save it, but then you're monetarily wise, you've done all that work for nothing. And that's where it becomes that really hard for me is how do I want to put $120,000 into it and sell it for 125? I mean, that's the whole issue is the monetary.
Gain.
Yeah. Well, is it there? That's.
You wouldn't wind up with a historic structure.
No.
Because this, I mean, my read on it is it was in a foul state 10 years ago, and bad news doesn't get better with age. So it's now worse than it was.
It actually is worse now. There's more rock because of the roof situation. Yeah. It's one of those horrible things that's in our in our rules now, which is called demolition by neglect. Yeah. And it's been neglected for 40 years, and then really the sad part is it's been like 10 years more than when it was approved before.
So I'd like to go back to Joe Ward's point. This is a different board by nature. It's different folks on the board. And if we are to be consistent as a body, we should look at the most recent precedents that this board has made and just compare apples to apples as much as we can. Obviously, each house is different. But if I were to compare this with two houses, one would be Youngblood, the house in Youngblood, that was a 3-story house, so structurally incredibly heavy, and the bottom floor was out of plumb by a degree that literally sent chills down my spine. And that house was saved and turned around, and now there's 3 different tenants in that, contributing to Bisbee economy and sewer and all that. That was saved by a local contractor who actually came in and bought the house in order to save it, knowing the risks, accepting the risks, and doing it. Whatever. So from what I recall, the ground floor and floor of that house was completely rotten in a similar way, had retaining wall issues and had foundation issues. In a sense, the entire ground floor of that house was rebuilt from scratch to support the levels above at personal risk of the contractor. And so that's similar in many ways. I think it had new electrical put in and some new plumbing as well. So pretty similar scope in a lot of ways. And then the other house, which has yet to be restored, actually, but is 16 Clausen, which in my opinion is far worse condition than this one, because that's a multi-story building with some difficult foundational issues, also needs brand new utilities and so forth. So both of those, were saved, and 16 Clausen was denied a demolition permit. So, and the new owner came in and has promised to redo the renovation. So those are the two that stand out as a good comparisons. And just in fairness, I think I would say to Ken that, I mean, you bought the property knowing that there's a risk that the demolition permission could be denied. So, you knew that going in. So that's always a risk. I do want to thank you for being on top of the fire risks and everything that's being done with Firewise and all that.
If I might point out, the one difference I think you're really missing is they have backhoes right to the house. They had pumper trucks, they had concrete trucks that backed right up and dumped into their footings and foundations on both of those houses. They can. This is nothing. Everything's got to come back up on the back of 55 stairs. Every piece of wood, every bucket of dirt that has to be dug out for the new footings has to go down in 5-gallon buckets. Just to empty the house is $5,000 just to empty it. I can't even imagine what it's going to cost. You start having to dig out underneath this whole house and bring everything down. And if you know where it's at, it isn't just a nice stairwell. It goes down, it turns left, it turns right, it turns left, and it comes out by the old jail. So anything over 8 feet, you can't even get out. You have to cut everything in 8-foot lengths. Everything that comes up, you're going to do a higher, you have to hold it up upright, a 16-foot 2x4. You can't get up there. You have to hold it upright and one at a time and bring it up. There's the difference between this house and why I'm struggling so hard. If this was sitting on any one of those properties that he's talking about, no way, it should be redone. It can be redone. But when you start looking at the cost of doing it versus what you're going to get out of it in the end, this is what makes a difference and why I've been struggling so hard with it and why they're getting multiple bids. And Posey came and looked at it yesterday. Luke Ofield has looked at it. Liftik has looked at it way back before it was cleaned. And so, I've got a lot of opinions. Ben's been and looked at it. So anyway, just so you understand, if we're going to do apples to apples, let's look at apples to apples. And each house has to be looked at separately as far as its, not only its condition, but its access.
Right.
That's my point.
I've just got a couple of points real quick. One, I understand that a lot of that material is going to have to be brought up, especially roofing material. Obviously, that's going to have to be carried up. But as far as concrete goes, I know it can be pumped. And I do know that because I just watched a construction project behind my house where they were down on Brewery and they had to pump all the way up to the top of Youngblood to do a retaining wall. It was a lot of work. They had a huge crew. So I know it can be done. Once again, it comes down to feasibility and cost. When I looked at the house the other day, I've got major concerns with one area specifically. And it's like this patio laundry room area that's got retaining walls that are cracked. I thought about this the other day and I was kind of like, at the very least, that section needs to come down. And there needs to be some serious work done in that area. And I was wondering if we didn't almost look at this as a step-by-step approach to see if, you get into that section and you get it demoed and you look at that and you find out that this is just it's gone. And, we can better answer. Maybe I would feel better with that decision. You know, I'm putting my thoughts out there and what I've been through the last couple of days and looking at it. I want to know if Yvette has anything.
I've never heard of a
Hi.
demolition, but part of the cost of demoing it is we will set up an 80-foot chute so that we can take the material down. That would be way expensive to put it up, take it down, put it up, take it down. I have to get permission through private property to run it because it can't go downstairs. So yeah, that's, you know, I at least I want to be able to take the back off. That was never the original you see on the thing,
Yeah.
because it's not really, one, it's not really historic and it's been there a long time. You know, I don't know when they added it, we have no idea. But
I agree, that definitely has to go. I mean, like, there's some massive problems there, not only for that house and for your retaining wall that's holding up your home. I think it looks pretty scary back there.
And also there's less roof to get.
part of this, and I'll be honest, part of why I want it gone is so I can deal with my retaining wall. The house is against it, and I can't repoint it, I can't get back there. There's a little tiny 1-foot space between the back of the house and my wall. It basically holds up my house and my whole backyard. I've lost one section of that wall already, back several years ago, and had to rebuild it. So and what happens is over these years, a lot of the mortar comes out between those rocks. I repaired the one right in front of my house 3 times already, lime mortar, and so Matt McClellan's done it, and that's what needs to be done behind here in order to save mine. So at least if I can't tear it down, I will be coming back and somehow cutting the whole back of the house off so I can get enough space in there to actually do something. I really need to do something in order to make sure that wall doesn't fall, and you really do lose an historic house. I mean, the Corretto house really is historic, and you wouldn't want that to fall down towards the door. That's, so just another wall issue, but yeah, that's kind of my back thought is why I want to get to that wall and make sure I can save it. And I can't do that the way the house is right now. So it's just the way Corretto built it. He built whenever, 1915 or so when this house was built.
Yvette, do you have anything?
I do. Thank you, Chairman Young. I think this is obviously really difficult for everybody. I agree with Ben. You kind of have to look at what we've done and some of the past cases and question yourself, well, how does this differ from some of those houses? From Clausen House, for example, is one that comes to mind. For me, getting the application today, going there, looking at the location, and having the information today and making a decision about this, as it's a very, very big decision, is a little bit difficult to make today. I do agree with Mayor Budge that it is a very different house in the case that it's much more inaccessible than some of the other houses that we have not allowed to be demolished. I think that has great importance to this property. And while it is historic, if it is truly condemned by the building inspector, which I'm really not clear on at this stage, if it has been officially condemned or not, it does present a hazard to the homes and the businesses in the surrounding area. There was a fire on a property there most recently that they've been working on. And so I do think it's a dangerous property. I do think it can significantly affect the neighboring properties more negatively in its current condition than if it was gone. And I do agree with the fact that it's going to be very hard to rehabilitate, and not just using those terms lightly. It's going to be incredibly difficult and incredibly expensive, and that's not necessarily what we're voting on, is how difficult it is. You know, what the pucker factor is isn't really how we vote, nor expense-wise. We try to look at things from a historic perspective and also for the greater good. but I think that sensing the conversations, it's probably a little bit difficult to jump and make a decision tonight. And so I would support us kind of resting with this a little bit, maybe going back out to the property again, just double, triple checking everything before we make a final decision.
Thank you, Yvette. And to that, I also wanted to add one of the things that we've held our prior applicants to is that we need to see the numbers. And that's just what we've done with a few others. Because if we're going to head down to that demolition route, then we've got to make sure that we're following the laws that we uphold.
John, what were the bullet points that you had asked, I think it was the last meeting of the demolition case? What were the bullet points that you had asked them to come up with?
It's right in the packet.
On-site visit by a licensed contractor, structural engineer.
Yeah.
Correct.
Determination be made that a building or structure no longer presents an opportunity for feasible rehabilitation, which is arrived at after an on-site visit by a licensed contractor, structural engineer, or architect experienced in historic preservation work. Any cost shall be borne by owner. The investment required to preserve or rehabilitate the structure could not be offset by the return of the property. The design review board shall notify the building official that the demolition permit is approved. The building then applicable. And also, of course, it is demonstrated that the structure returns to a major improvement program, which will be substantial community benefit. We've got those 3 big points, and that's what we tell everybody else to. I don't know my personal opinion. I think if we told everybody else to that, this application shouldn't be any different. I don't think, I think we always get to the end result correctly. Okay, awesome. We have to correct the end result. I'm not saying that, not demoing is not the correct course of action. I just, in my personal opinion, I think if we need to treat this as anything else and go through that process and procedure, and I would definitely be okay with the table in it for 30 days to give the applicants time to get back to you.
Well, I agree with you, Sean, and I think that we should adhere to those same bullet points that your other people, students as well.
I might ask just one last thing. Your next meeting, I'm going to be in Phoenix at the League of Cities and Counties representing the city of Bisbee. I can't even join Zoom that night because it's a big dinner, Wednesday night dinner at the league. So that's why I kind of pushed this forward probably before I had every single number in front, but I needed at least a wait for 60 days in order for me to come back. But part of your bullet points, I just want to point out to you that you don't have to meet all these bullet points. It basically says that design review board may recommend approval if any of the following exists, not all 3 of them. Any one exists. So the one I will be going after, the one that does exist, is what is it going to cost to do this up these stairs versus not. So it's the one that exists, not, you can't put all 3 of them on one map.
Right, and then what would be the potential return on investment? And we gotta look at that as well, right? Because that is part of the cost.
And again, how well you do it and how do you put it, what it's going to be worth per square foot when you're done?
How can we speculate?
It's a monetary hard choice, but yeah, if you want, I'll get the contractors together. We'll figure out what it's going to cost to rip out the whole floor, put a whole new foundation in it, all new flooring, all new windows, all new doors, level it back up because of course it's leaning, a whole new roof on it, and then it's worth X number of square feet. Remember, since there's no yard, there's no benefit to that to resell, plus no parking. So
it doesn't have to look up like this.
there is a sewer line there. I don't know how, there's a toilet in there. So I'm guessing there must be a sewer line somehow. But it's never been functioned before.
I think the goal might just be to bring it up to a point where it's no longer hazardous public safety, so board it up. It's not about.
Well, I'm sorry, but I can't afford to spend $40,000 and just leave a building boarded up. That's not where I want my money to go. Maybe if you would like to buy it from me for $40,000 and do it, then you can send on it for $40,000. But I don't think it's fair to make an applicant say, well, you now have to board it up and keep it and don't touch it and tie up the $40,000 that you're gonna have in it just to have it boarded up. So that's where I would, again, it is a monetary issue, but you can't have, what I would do is put it out on the open market. That's what I'll have to do. And that's what I will do. And
Our property maintenance code only allows boarding up to 1 year.
Chairman Young,
Yes.
Is it officially declared condemned? Can we get an answer to that question? I know something was said about this in 2010, but where do we stand now as far as it being declared condemned?
The property wasn't the property condemned by law?
Yes.
The property is still condemned.
Sorry.
It's still
The
condemned.
property is condemned.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't want to get into all the minutia, and I don't, I'm telling you what I'm feeling, but I also pulled out all the regs about dangerous buildings and what those dangerous buildings, that's why it was condemned. This is what Bob gave me. When a structure or any portion dilapidated, deteriorated, decayed, exterior walls, other vertical structures lean or buckle, has become dilapidated and deteriorated, has become an attractive nuisance to children, harbor vagrants, or criminals, or immoral. So it meets all the definitions of a dangerous building under code. And I didn't bother to put them in there because I didn't think that was really something. But if you want to talk about demolition, that is the dangerous building code. And of course, we have it in our codes ourselves, right there. Article 7.6, dangerous building code, 1997 uniform code, dangerous. That's how the building official determines whether it's a dangerous building by its codes. If you want to look those up, I'll be glad to include those next time. So you can look this up, like dangerous building code, what a dangerous building is.
Sure.
Please.
Yeah.
Oh, we were going to make a motion to table application number 21-65 for 60 days or whatever it is. So
Yeah, it'll be the October meeting.
at which time the applicant will supply additional for the application, particularly with respect to financial costs of repairing structure.
That's right. Oh, yeah.
You have to say something?
Yvette, did you say anything?
I couldn't really hear what was just said.
Mr. Gaffer, motion to table it for 60 days for Mr. Budge to get the information requested.
Okay, thank you. I would second the motion.
You're seconding? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. With that,
Aye.
We'll see you in a couple of
we'll
months.
see you in a couple months.
Very cool. Phoenix. Come on, boy.
Stay here, Cooper. Come here. Come here, you.
Moving on to agenda item 7, there's no application 21-66 Frisbee Residential Historic District, contributing Contributing Bisbee Commercial Historic District located at 91 Main Street, application Dan Eason, representative Thomas Oatman. This application is seeking approval to install 3-foot high galvanized steel fence for a guarded rail and partition across the 13.5 feet. Do we have a representative here for this application? Mr. Oatman?
Are you here, Tom? I see he's on.
You see Tom's up.
Hey, Tom, you probably need to unmute yourself.
Yes.
He's still muted.
Is he still muted?
Yeah.
We'll move on to agenda item 8 and give him a chance to become unmuted. All right, agenda item 8, application 2167 Bisbee Residential Historic District, contributing Bisbee Commercial Historic District located at 67 Main Street, applicant Two Partners Incorporated, representatives Mike Schaefer and Jesse Brown. The sign is seeking approval for 2 signs installed for retail gift shop at the location. We note that these signs were previously approved by the DRB on February 5th of 2020. That was included in our packet. I turn it over to the applicant for presentation. Schaefer, Mr. Brown, are you with us?
Yes. I'm here, yeah, but I can barely hear you.
Okay, at this time, you can go ahead and give us your presentation.
Let's see. You guys have the paperwork, at least the ones that wanted hard copies, right?
Yes.
That is correct. We have the paperwork. Go ahead and let us know what it is you're working to do.
We're looking to move our signs from one location downtown to another, 67 Main Street, hanging a sign that is already hanging over on 7 Howell, and another sign, a wider sign over the doorway. We'd like to put it on at 67 Main.
Okay. You have anything else for us?
Do I have what?
Do you have anything else you'd like to discuss about the application or present to the board?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. All right. Do we have any public comments? No. All right. It's open to the board for discussion.
So I see a number of different signs, and so the sign that's being applied for is called the Little Wink.
She's just moving the signs from one business to the new location.
But it's Little Wing because there's a sign that says Bisbee Social Club and confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the back one was the other address, sorry.
Okay.
So it's just moving the first pictures, the first signs to a new location.
Right. Thank you.
Sign number 1 and number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I'm still confused.
So they're taking the 2 signs that are on 1 and 2 and moving them to 67 Main. They were already approved at a different location.
Right, no, I
Right.
get that for the Little Wing.
No, but the Bisbee, that has nothing to do with it. Those back pictures have nothing to do with it.
So this one,
No,
so
it's just the front 2. The reason I gave you that is for the other address where it's going to come from to there. Is that right, Ms. Brown?
Thank you. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so that was my bad. I should have made that more clear.
Okay, that makes sense because I was.
Yeah,
absolutely
no,
confused.
it's just from one address in Old Bisbee to 67 Main.
Okay. Because I thought.
No.
All right, I thought we had Bisbee Social Club changing their name. And
No,
I was
no.
trying to figure out what was going on.
No.
All right. Does anybody have
Would you just explain that one more time?
So the signs,
Sure. So just take these 2 pages,
and throw them away.
throw them away.
So now the first 2 pictures, the 1 and 2,
Yeah.
are at a different location that were already approved, and she wants to move them to 67 Main.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
everything looks nice.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't have it.
Right.
I really like this.
Yes, I like that one too.
Sorry about that. I was trying to make it easier, but I guess I just complicated it.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, go right ahead. Aye.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yvette?
All right, Ms. Brown, you're approved.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. Bye.
And then if I want to go back to this one.
And then did we already do?
No, we gotta go
91.
back to 7 because they were unable to unmute. I
Okay.
don't know what was
Are
going
you
on.
able to hear us now?
That would be yes, because the dogs are barking.
Yes.
Sounds like it's not.
Hello?
Hi, Tom, are you with us?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Hello?
Hello.
I'm with you.
All right. Hey, Tom, give me just a second and I'm going to open up the application and then turn it over to you. All right, this is agenda item number 7, application 21-66, Bisbee Residential Historic District, contributing Bisbee Commercial Historic District located at 91 May Street. Applicant Dan Easton, Representative Thomas Open. This application is seeking to install some railing on the front of the store. Tom, it's open to you.
I'm sorry, say it again, please.
He just read your application. He was wanting you to speak on it.
Yeah, we're trying to create a kind of handrail there because if you look in the photo, there's a 3 or 4 inch grade on the exterior to the sidewalk, which we've seen multiple people trip on. Over the 2 years we've been in business there. And we don't want to have any accidents and we don't want to have any liability suits. And it's an issue that every weekend, at least a couple people, generally young people, but sometimes elderly people, walk up there and fall down, trip. You can see it on the photo, I think. So there's like about a 4 inch rise.
Yeah. Enough to break an ankle.
Yes.
Yeah, or hurt somebody or, and also just to create a sort of, blocked in space there where we have that patio. But generally it's really more about the liability and the safety issue than it is anything else. We've just witnessed this in the last few years, how it's become an issue, and we don't want anybody to get hurt.
Thank you, Tom. No public comments online. Okay. This time it's open for the board, for discussion. Nothing? Dan?
Be a great place to eat some of your lunch items, if you ever consider that. But otherwise, it looks great.
You bet.
Hi there, good evening. I would be in support of this change. Thank you.
I have nothing to say. I'm in support of it.
All right. It's open to the board to make a motion.
I'll make a motion, application number 21-66 to be approved as submitted.
All in favor?
I second that.
Oh, sorry.
Aye.
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 Thanks.
I'm the gun there.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Tom.
Tom.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to agenda item number 9, approval of the minutes of the June 23rd, 2021 special meeting.
Make a motion to approve agenda item 9.
All
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, moving on to agenda item 10, approval of the minutes of the July 7th, 2021 meeting. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are tabling agenda item 11 for another 30 days. Staff comments.
I just wanted to point out for the 517A mayor, we gave them 30 days or until such time. Mr. Hope is now representing them, and he would like to be heard in September instead of this time.
Okay, we don't need to retable that
No.
just because they sent in
No, because Mr. Gaffer, when he made the motion, put until such time.
So that's just an FYI.
Yes, that was just an FYI, that he was not going to make this meeting and wanted to do it in September.
anything else?
Nope.
Joe?
Joe?
Nope. Frank doesn't have anything?
Mr. Davis, do you have anything? You're muted.
Also, jet lag.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is he back?
Mhm.
Just like that. All right.
Hold on. He's
Yeah,
there.
I was muted. I was just gonna say, I don't.
No, he's good.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Davis. All right, moving on. Future agenda items or suggestions. I remind everybody that this is not open for discussion. It's just the ability to put a future agenda item on, a future potential agenda item on the agenda.
Mhm.
No?
Yeah. And maybe I'm just being forgetful, but status of, just the status update of the submitted new guidelines.
I can go back to staff comments real quick.
Yeah, we'll go back to staff comments.
So I finished all the changes. I had to have help with the front page because whoever designed it, it was in Photoshop and I didn't have that. So I had to send the front page to someone else to do for me. So, and then now I have somebody reviewing what I've already changed to make sure that I don't have any more typos or everything's changed the way it's supposed to be. And then I'll submit it to the attorney. And I'm hoping to do that before the end of next week.
Okay. Cool. All right, now future agenda items and suggestions. No, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn this time?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
I'll probably see how you can say.
So, Mr.